Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I can hear only the front row. At the back, good afternoon, everyone. Are we okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can we move on to the next session?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. Please allow me to call on stage for our next session that is on Global Gateway, What's in it for Youth? And the speaker, who's also going to be our moderator, is Mr. Getsemani Akendra Maiga.
Thank you very much. Could you hear me? Could you hear me? Okay, nice. Thank you very much, Shatra. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I hope you are happy also, right? It's time.
Hi.
It's time for a really great session, a session about youth, right? We're talking about Global Gateway Strategy. Now, let's talk about what is Global Gateway Strategy and what is offered to young people. Are you ready for it? Yes. Perfect. So I'm Get Maiga. I'm part of the Youth Sunny Board for International Partnership, the second cohort, not the OG one. And I'm also program manager and partnership lead for several programs in Africa, aiming to empower young people using digital and entrepreneurship. And as I said, I'm so excited to be your moderator today, and my role will be to really engage you with our panelists that we have today. Felipe said this morning that young people is not just about the future. We are the right now, right? And the Global Gateway Strategy is a huge commitment and opportunity from the European Union to young people to work with us to build a more connected, resilient, and sustainable world, with investing a lot in young people as key changer in what we want as the future, right? So today we gather exceptional panelists that will go with us through all these questions about what is in the Global Gateway Strategy for young people. And I want you to give a round of applause to our panelists, please, when they are coming on the stage, please. So we have Marietta Yager, Gilles Bertrand, Liberata Kawamala, Sobel Aziz Ngom, Andrea Remez, and Jasper Verit, right? Welcome, welcome. Okay, sorry. This is for someone. Yes. So, we start with the first round of questions to our panelists. Then we do a follow-up question. And after that, guys, you have the words. We give a Q&A part. So write down your question and be ready to join her in the conversation. I will start with our people leading the charge as Deputy Director General, International Partnership at the European Commission. She has worked since 2005, previously serving as Director for Security in DG Energy and Transport. And she's played a key role in Slovenia's e-accession and was Slovenia's Deputy Permanent Representative to the EU. Please, a round of applause for Marietta Jager. Thank you, Marietta. The Global Gateway Strategy and the Youth Action Plan are really key agenda that we're talking since yesterday. And then you have you at this stage. And we really want to know more about this two initiatives and what opportunity they offer to you, to us as young people.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's not often that I'm happy to replace my Director General, who is sending you best regards and apologies. But today, the pleasure and honor is all mine, because I have never seen such a really good audience that you are, and so many young people in the same place. So big applause for you. And not only that you are the future, I mean, every time I see people like you, I reminded how old I am, but the issue here is that I have a very, very easy job because you listen to our president this morning, you listen to her video, and I can never explain so well the link between the Global Gateway and the Youth Action Plan that she did. Of course, she is the best, but I will try to reply anyway, because what is very important is that you see the Global Gateway strategy as the opportunity for you. I mean, what we are looking between the two initiatives are complementarities and synergies, because everything we do, we try to put into, let's say, synchrony of the policy together in order to have the better development impact, to have efficiency, and to have results on the ground. So I don't know how much you know about our Global Gateway strategy, but I'm sure that everyone already told you that this is our investment plan. And why investment plan for our partner countries now? Because we have realized in many, many years of experience that what really brings the sustainable development in the partner countries are the investments. And of course, we also put a lot of resources into human development and fragility and other policies, but we definitely realized that the investment gap is so huge that we need to do something. So the strategy, Global Gateway strategy, is, as I said, investment agenda based on our values, of course, that should put together 300 billion euros in investment in our partner countries by 2030, and basically brings our idea jointly with your initiatives and, of course, proposals how to boost secure, smart, and clean investments. And what does it mean? I mean, we would like to have investments really in the digital, transport, energy, also the climate-related issues. I'm just from another water conference. We need to put much more on adaptation, and also, you know, being accompanied by research and also education and health. Because we all know without quality education, we will not have a bright future. So that we call 360 approach. And together with the Youth Action Plan, we are really committed to work with and for young people. And that's why I know I'm from a small country, but the big ideas are not really exclusively reserved for big countries or, you know, the highly, I would say, wealthy countries. But I would say that the real innovative ideas that are coming from the ground, they are coming from you, because you know what you want for your future. And basically what we are looking for is to shape the solutions together with you. So that's why we have the sounding board, but I know that you listened about that globally and locally for the last 2 days, so I'm not going to go with you. But basically what we are looking for is addressing the global challenges, but also at the local level together with you. Because we need to know where to put the infrastructure when it comes to, for example, energy, that you can have access to electricity, where to put the cables or earth stations for the digital, and absolutely, you know, with the package, as I said before, 360, also to address inequalities. So that is linked to what I mentioned before, education sector. This is for me the fundamental. This is what is shaping the future workforce. We don't even know what the future workforce will be. With artificial intelligence, what kind of jobs will still be needed. We need to shape that together, regulate together, and basically Global Gateway is giving us the opportunity. Oh my goodness, I'm 1 minute. You should stop me, I'm without my glasses. I mean, and so basically what we are offering you is education, research, innovation, and also access to finance, but maybe I address access to finance in the second question. And sorry for being so long.
Sure. Sorry. I was even myself so passionate about what you say, so I forgot about the time. Thank you very much. So you mentioned really key topics, and in this topic we have climate and energy transition, right? And we have Jasper. Welcome, Jasper. Jasper is a climate entrepreneur who co-founded Turbulent, a company bringing novel hydropower technology to the market and receiving recognition from the UE as UE Commission Seals of Excellence. Jasper is also now focused on securing funding for climate and tech companies' R&D and communication efforts. Thank you, Jasper, to be there with us. So you also play a key role in the Global Gateway strategy, right? As an entrepreneur and also part of the Business Advisory Group. So tell us a bit about this Business Advisory Group and what really you see as opportunity for young people when it's come to climate and energy transition.
Yep, all right. Thank you, Get. Well, first of all, the Global Gateway strategy, as mentioned, is there is a big number of 300 billion involved. However, that's not just money to grab for companies to basically have investments into projects. The Global Gateway is really a strategy for companies to collaborate from Europe towards other countries, the partner countries, and really serves as a sort of a toolkit. Money, access to people, access to finance, all sorts of leverages to make sure that your idea, your project, can go from an idea into reality a lot quicker than before. And then specifically when it comes to younger people, it has a major benefit because huge companies, they all have budget and people and teams involved to get into international tendering, amass big projects, and they have a lot of lobby working together to get into contact with ministries, government officials, and really get to the people who decide on funding and the projects. What is mentioned in the Global Gateway strategy is what they call the Team Europe approach, where you can have a very short contact window, so you can go to your EU delegation or someone from a financing institution. And the main difference is that now they all talk to each other. So you have to spend a lot less resources and time to get to the right people who make the decisions. So reducing that barrier makes it also possible for smaller companies, startup companies, to basically start competing with the bigger ones, because now you can reach the people you need to reach to get your projects on the ground and moving. So that is what one of the, I think, the major benefits of the Global Gateway towards younger people, startups, ideas that are going through. And in order to get from the whole policy side with every great idea and the politicians towards implementable action points, etc., they have set up the Global Gateway Business Advisory Group. I know it's a very long title, often called the BAG for some reason. Well, I'm part of that together with 60 other companies, both large and small, to make sure that everyone is included. The age is rather on the older side yet. Okay. I'm the youngest, but still they've included SMEs, startup companies as well, okay. To basically make sure that we advise them on how can you turn this policy into actionable things, so that a company really knows, all right, I have an idea, where to start. I want to do this in that country, all right, where do we go to? What are all the steps that we have to take, so that you don't get bogged down with just the main description of the Global Gateway, but that you really have an actionable list of to-dos.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much, Jasper. I think we'll come back to you after to talk specifically about the climate and energy transition, right? So let's go from the policy aspect to now someone who really work with young people in this country, right? El embajador de la juventud, right? Sorry for my Spanish, not that good, but yeah, we have Gilles Bertrand. It's a UE ambassador to Colombia with over 20 years experience in US institutions, specializing in foreign policy and international cooperation. He previously worked at the UE relation with Afghanistan and Syria and led inclusion project before he's appointed as ambassador in 2021. Welcome, Gilles. And Gilles, in Colombia, you have really grassroots experience with young people, right? And you can tell us a bit on how youth can become key actor in global gateway strategy and share with us key points that can help youth participation to achieve these global gateway strategy goals.
Well, thank you, and thanks a lot for inviting me. It's very nice to be in a room where the average age is a bit lower than what we usually have in most of our meetings. I think it's useful to start just with a couple of elements on Colombia and why we actually ended up working on youth. And I'm not going to go into detail in the country's history or whatever, but I think what's important to mention is that once we're working in a country where there are very deep inequalities, social, gender, ethnic, whether the Afro-descendant or the indigenous communities, but actually perhaps the worst inequality of all in Colombia is the inequality between the rural and the urban Colombias, because they are really two different countries in a way. And what does that mean? That means that there is a very particular situation in some of the most remote regions of Colombia where the state is basically very little present, and where the international community over the years, especially the EU through our cooperation on the environment and our cooperation on peace, has been building links with the communities locally and has been building a relationship of trust with many of the communities that we have in the country. And that makes civil society extremely important because when you have a very light state presence, then it's actually civil society that is taking the bulk of the initiative. And within this, for years, we had been working with the two main actors of change, which are basically women and the youth. Then, what brought us to work more or even more with youth is that Colombia in 2021, 22, started an experiment that very few countries on the planet have actually started. You have youth councils that are elected by young people in every municipality of Colombia, in every governorate, and at the national level as an election from those bodies. So everywhere in each municipality of Colombia, you have a group of youth that has been elected by youth, and that is basically representing their voice. And what we decided at that moment was actually to integrate them in our agendas, to support their work, to also know about that experiment, because we believe it's interesting actually for most European countries and beyond. Yeah. And we started deciding that every time we would travel in the country, and we travel a lot, not just me, but actually the entire team, we would actually be meeting with them to show legitimacy and show that there was actually an interest from the EU to listen from them. Yeah. The other element I think that's important to mention is that we work with a government that actually appreciates that the international community would work with civil society. I mean, there are many issues in the rest of the world that we do not have in Colombia. There's a very interesting triangle, actually, between government, civil society, international community that feels much more like teamwork than it feels like any kind of bashing or passing responsibility among each other. And that, of course, is extremely helpful. So what did we do? We started actually involving not just actually the youth councils, but groups of young people within our projects. We started giving them political support, showing sort of visible credibility. There were a few mayors in the country that were really wondering why the EU ambassador or the head of cooperation were meeting with the youth council when they themselves sometimes hadn't even met with them. And we started talking about the core political issues, and I think that's a very important point that I've heard several times in the morning. Sure. Our idea was not that we would talk about issues that would be considered as belonging to the youth.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about education, let's talk about sports, let's talk about, which is important. But what we are talking really with the youth of Colombia is peace, is climate change, is how to make the business activity and the government come to their regions. And this has actually proven a very interesting approach, and one through which, over time, we've actually managed to build together with the government, or to be invited rather by the government, to preside the roundtable of cooperantes. I lost it. Huh?
Cooperative?
Yeah, the cooperation roundtable where the government and the main donors and the youth, because of course they are represented in the roundtable, are talking about youth issues in the country and how the international community can help. We've been working with the Congress, the Colombian Congress, and for instance, just to give you the three laws and just mention them, the three laws on which we've been working with them. One is on mental health for the youth. One is the involvement of the youth in rural reform in Colombia. And the other one is on the youth citizenship statute, which is basically the reform of the system to elect, among others, but to elect those youth groups. So this is how we started from a particular moment, I would say, in the history of the country. And we managed to actually start working with them on all of the big issues that we are involved in.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jill. I think you talked about something really interesting about young people in entrepreneurship and how the government and the policy have to bring entrepreneurs and businesses in each region of the country. And we have entrepreneurs with us. We have young entrepreneurs. We have Andrea. So Andrea is a social entrepreneur. Okay, Andrea got funded. Andrea is a social entrepreneur and co-founder of R&D Aprende, and a platform that empowers girls in STEM using AI-driven tools. She holds a leadership role with Génération You Limited, right? And the UE Sounding Board, she's also a fellow Youth Sounding Board member, right? So she also gets a lot of awards like Youth Challenge 2.0, Yunus, Youth Latam. Okay, I can't list all of them. They are all over the page. So welcome, Andrea. And as a young social entrepreneur, honestly, active in digital and education, we really want to see your point of view when it comes to the global gateway strategy, empowering young people and responding to the digital and education sector investment specifically.
Thanks, Ged. And salut, Soben. So, I just wanted to start with saying I work in inclusion. And I love sitting here with two very good dear friends. But at the same time, as I work in inclusion, I have to call out ourselves, as we are also taking space for people that are not necessarily present in the room. We're getting to a point where we're becoming what we call seasoned young leaders. We're moving outside of that space. So we need to leave also room and know how to step down sometimes and leave spaces for new people and new faces. And I think this is also something important that we need to take into consideration moving forward. Right now, we already broke the glass ceiling. Now we need to work with broken stairs. So let's make sure that we fill in those steps little by little. And that's actually what I'm trying to do with my venture and what Global Gateway is trying to do with overall all the places, is providing youth with the necessary skills to thrive in the 21st century. Most of them include working with STEM, or science, technology, engineering, maths. But I always like to add the A in there, the arts too. In the end, everything is completely interdisciplinary. And problems like working with this segmentation start very early on. In my case, the story of working with STEM and not working in STEM, to be honest, was an experience that I had when I was in primary school, when I felt that I didn't have the capabilities, not only on a math basis, but also personally on the idea of feeling that I had imposter syndrome. But when you are able to provide youth with the necessary skills to thrive, you're not only going to give them something that are going to be using one day, they're going to be using it on a daily basis. So in the end, you need to provide them with what are these things, the tools to thrive, the tools that are going to be using on a daily basis, to get the jobs and all the resources to be present out there in the end.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Andrea. Specifically on investment aspect on the Global Gateway, do you see any way it could be really an advantage for you as social entrepreneurs?
As we have mentioned so many times since the morning, we lack funding. And sometimes it's not necessarily that the funding is missing, it's we don't know where to find it. So if you're able to find a space like the Global Gateway where everything is centralized, where you have the space and people are promoting it, and it's really by this label of saying it's for youth, by youth, it changes your headspace. It changes your opportunities and saying, hey, I actually can do this. And if I complement it by first participating in a training and then moving forward as saying, I can execute my idea, I have the knowledge, the know-how, and people here are sharing it all together, we're collaborating, co-creating, co-designing, it's just another venture and another way to see that and say, funding is not only the solution, it's part and it's a method to get to it. So, I mean, I would just say keep investing in youth. It's the only way to get there and distribute equally in the end. I've noticed that sometimes certain regions are left behind, and I understand that it's also a geographical matter and also a history sort of situation going on, but in the end, we all should have the same opportunities, regardless of language barriers, representation, or spaces we live in.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea. It's a pleasure to listen to you. And yeah, you talk about investment, and I feel like investment is on the way, and it already started with young people around the world through the Global Gateway strategy, and even before. So we have Sobel today. Welcome, Sobel. Sobel Aziz is the president of Consortium Jeunesse Sénégal, leading initiatives like Yakar to empower youth in Senegal. He's also received a lot of scholar and awards, Ashoka Fellow and Mandela Washington Fellow. He also served as the Global Leadership Council of Generation Unlimited and co-chair the Global Freedom Forum of Mobility. Welcome, Sobel. Sobel, you did an impressive job already. And yeah, so Sobel, you said that, okay, we were discussing before, bon, on parle en français. Donc l'idée c'est que déjà en fait, bon, vous pouvez mettre pour avoir la traduction si vous voulez. Donc Sobel a déjà eu pas mal d'expérience avec l'Union européenne auparavant, même avant la stratégie du Global Gateway, et il a pas mal d'expérience en travaillant avec en tant qu'acteur de la société civile et en travaillant avec les jeunes underground au Sénégal, dans plusieurs régions du Sénégal. Donc Sobel, aujourd'hui, ce qu'on veut savoir de toi, c'est vraiment ton expérience que tu as pu tirer de cet accompagnement ou de ce travail avec l'Union européenne, et surtout de savoir comment aujourd'hui les priorités du Global Gateway Strategy peuvent faire la différence pour les jeunes, particulièrement quand on parle de développement de compétences et de création d'emplois.
Merci beaucoup, Guette. Bonjour à tous. Tout le monde est à l'aise pour écouter en français avec ses écouteurs? Ok, super. Donc, je vais commencer par peut-être vous raconter en résumé, j'espère, une petite histoire qui est notre histoire, qui explique un peu la façon dont on a pu construire avec la délégation de l'Union européenne quelque chose d'assez innovant et d'extraordinaire. Donc, le côté extraordinaire ne vient pas de moi, mais vient de la façon dont les autres l'ont perçu. Et vous le voyez à l'écran. Donc, en mode rapide, en 2019, moi, qui dirige une organisation de jeunesse, et une dizaine d'autres leaders d'organisations de jeunesse, on se pose la question de savoir, mais comment on peut être mieux inclus dans le système dans notre pays? Et on se dit que la première chose qu'il faut qu'on fasse, c'est qu'il faut qu'on sache on est combien. Qui fait ce qu'on fait? Combien sont les organisations de jeunesse qui travaillent sur des questions importantes pour nous? Et donc on fait ce mapping. Ce mapping nous fait sortir 174 organisations de jeunesse qui travaillent soit sur l'inclusion, soit sur l'apprentissage, soit sur l'accompagnement au travail. Ensuite, au même moment, momentum favorable, la délégation de l'Union européenne invite à une rencontre de la société civile pour rencontrer les organisations de jeunesse. Et à ce moment-là, elle invite à créer une table de dialogue où les organisations de jeunesse peuvent venir régulièrement pour discuter avec la délégation. Et nous, qui avons déjà une idée, on dit à la délégation, écoutez, c'est super de créer un espace de dialogue autour de vous, mais on aimerait beaucoup que vous nous aidiez à créer notre propre espace de dialogue où on pourrait travailler avec une grande diversité d'acteurs en plus de vous. Et on tombe à ce moment-là sur un personnage qui a été central quelque part dans cette histoire. Et c'est pour ça que ce que je veux dire aussi ici qui est important, c'est que ça ne dépend pas seulement de la qualité des jeunes que vous avez en face. Ça dépend aussi du leadership, de ceux qui dirigent dans les délégations et de leur volonté et de leur audace à essayer des choses nouvelles. Donc en 2020, photo numéro 2, on crée notre coalition et on demande à l'Union européenne de nous appuyer pour mettre un programme qui est complètement pensé par nous, avec aucune ligne directrice qui vient de l'Union européenne, en disant quelque part, vous dites que ce que vous faites, c'est pour les jeunes. On vous demande de nous montrer que vous pouvez avoir confiance en nous pour qu'on puisse réaliser notre aspiration, pas votre aspiration. Et donc, il nous donne l'opportunité d'écrire un projet qui vient de nos idées pour porter nos aspirations et nos espoirs. On écrit ce projet et on va le leur présenter. Alors, je ne parle pas d'un projet de dizaines de milliers d'euros, je ne parle pas d'un projet de centaines de milliers d'euros, je parle d'un projet de 2 millions d'euros. Donc nous sommes une organisation de jeunes qui existe depuis 4 mois, qui est composée d'organisations qui travaillent sur le terrain depuis 5 à 7 ans, qui avons une volonté, une vision qui est claire et qui venons vers la délégation pour leur dire « Do what you preach ». Vous avez dit que vous voulez aider les jeunes, on est là pour recevoir votre aide, pour nous aider à faire ce qu'on veut faire. Et on a l'opportunité de pouvoir signer ce contrat. Tout à l'heure, Santiago parlait de l'importance de l'argent dans la coopération. C'est vrai que l'argent est important. Il est fondamental. Et notre histoire montre qu'il est possible d'utiliser des mécanismes. Il y a des mécanismes qui existent, mais il faut avoir l'audace et prendre le risque de pouvoir dire « je vais miser sur ces jeunes qui ont l'air de savoir ce qu'ils veulent et qui ont l'air de savoir faire ce qu'ils veulent faire ». Et je peux le dire parce qu'on a notre focal point dans la salle. On a clôturé ce projet il y a 3 mois. Et ce projet, il nous a été dit que c'était un des projets qui d'abord avait eu le plus d'impact dans les projets jeunes récemment financés, mais que surtout, c'était un des projets qui avait été le mieux géré financièrement, avec un taux de fonds inéligibles de 0,3%, soit 5 000 € sur les 2 millions d'euros. Et ça montre qu'on peut faire confiance aux jeunes, et c'est toute une histoire de confiance. Ensuite, nous avons eu l'opportunité donc de pouvoir le présenter à plusieurs endroits. Nous avons eu l'opportunité d'accueillir à la fois la commissaire Urpilainen et la présidente de la Commission européenne, Ursula von der Leyen, en 2022 au Sénégal, qui est venue visiter notre centre, vraiment comme un modèle assez innovant de façon dont on implique les jeunes et dont on les responsabilise. Et puis, plus récemment, donc, nous sommes en train d'accompagner la délégation de l'Union européenne à mettre en place son Youth Sounding Board, même si nous avons un peu joué ce rôle-là. Aujourd'hui, on co-crée ensemble. Et donc, pour revenir rapidement au Global Gateway, c'est le même principe. Il ne faut pas qu'on soit en attente des délégations européennes pour dire « on va faire ça, qu'est-ce que vous pouvez offrir ?» On sait aujourd'hui qu'il y a le Global Gateway. On sait ce que le Global Gateway veut faire. C'est à nous de nous organiser, de nous connecter et de venir en groupe vers les délégations pour leur dire par rapport à cette ambition-là, voilà ce que la société civile veut proposer, voilà ce qu'elle est en capacité de mettre sur la table et voilà ce qu'on attend précisément de vous. Et moi, je le crois, et on a un ambassadeur sur ce plateau-là qui en est un témoin ou un acteur, c'est qu'il y a beaucoup de leaders qui sont dans cette démarche-là de pouvoir faire confiance aux jeunes et d'accepter d'investir en eux. Et c'est ça l'histoire qu'on a eue et qu'on poursuit aujourd'hui au Sénégal. Merci.
Merci. Parfait. Merci beaucoup, Sobel. Je pense qu'il y a beaucoup d'expérience, beaucoup de vécu, et on voit que quand on fait confiance... Sorry. So thank you very much, Sobel. We really understand that when people trust young people, there's really a ripple effect and there are really good things happening. And thank you very much for the job you're doing in Senegal. We talked to... Okay, let's go. We have with us another social entrepreneur that also benefit from the Global Gateway strategy in a sense. And we have Liberata. She is a Tanzanian eco-entrepreneur and founder of Lib Green Innovation, dedicated to combating plastic waste through green business solutions. She is a recipient of multiple awards, including the Young Tanzania Global Leaders and the Global Partners for Marine Little Initiative. So welcome, Liberata.
Thank you.
So as I told you, we have really impressive panelists. They all have awards. They all have I don't know. Thank you very much to be there. So Liberata, as a female founder and social entrepreneur. How the Global Gateway programs, because I know you have attended several programs organized and financed by the European Union. For instance, the Women Entrepreneurship for Africa, WE4A, and the overall program that you also benefit. So tell us how this support has helping you in your journey as entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So, as you mentioned, my name is Roberta Kamala. I'm the founder of Libre Green Innovation. So, Libre Green Innovation is a social enterprise that is committed to solve plastic pollution in Tanzania. So, we are doing that by the collection. So, in collection, we have a lot of activities. I cannot mention all, but you can check on our social media, Libre Green Innovation, all social media. So, you'll find our activities and our programs and about the business. So, speaking to the question that how has the Global Gateway has impacted into our business, I could say this is not like an easy thing that it's just come from the air and just down to our account or down to our impacted directly to our Libre Green Innovation, to our company, no. So it started from the humble beginning before getting here. So, you know, our African was a welcome to my world. So it's where the African community does not believe in your innovations until you succeed. So this is the myth that most of the communities or most of the social entrepreneurs or the young entrepreneurs who are coming up with different innovations, even their families sometimes does not support the idea. Why? Because they are not believing on what you are doing until you succeed. If you make millions of money, then you have the friends. They call you the boss, they call you Madam Boss, but before that, you are just nobody, right? So this is how entrepreneurship works. So before coming to the Global Gateway, I started my journey in 2018 as a social entrepreneur after the university. I tried to solve plastic pollution in Tanzania after my school. So I started this movement slowly, where I started applying in different programs. And when it coming to the Women Entrepreneurship Program, Women Entrepreneurship for Africa program, where it's being supported by the European Union through GIZ. So I applied as a grant in GIZ. By that time, one of the panelists at the first, he said that if applied and then he forgot, it was like the same idea. I applied, and then the email came later, almost after 6 months. It's like I've already forgotten if this exists. So it was like we should have, it was like, can we have an interview with you? We need to learn about your business. It was like, oh, the interview for what? So, and then later after the interview, I remember I was in the market. So I have to choose the slots, like, you know, how the African things works. So you run everything, like you are the CEO, you run everything by yourself, you run the company, you run everything, you have to attend the meetings, while you look for money. So, and I had to attend the meeting. I was in the shop. I remember I was in the shop on the stationery. I attended that meeting, like the interview. They interviewed me after. They said, okay, great, because our business, we're making the resources, plastic resources, and then we are exporting in different countries. We have been exporting to Egypt, Portugal, Turkey, India, and parts of the world. So currently we have grown, so we are not as a startup anymore. But before coming to the Global Gateway again, so I was just telling you how the Global Gateway came to support us. So through GIZ, the Women Entrepreneurship for Africa, so I came to know like our moderator was one of our program manager. I didn't know that, so I knew it from here. Like today, just few minutes.
Yeah.
Like you were in the program, so I was telling you, why didn't you choose me on the next phase? Because I ended on the on the first phase, so that the second phase, they're giving a certain amount, like 50,000 USD. So the first one they're giving like 10,000 USD. So it was like, why didn't you choose me? So it's nice to connect. So you're thinking about the connection. I think once they open up the call, I'm going to be the first on the line. So this is what Yeah, so the Global Gateway has helped my business because the Global Gateway does not only support, the EU, through Women Entrepreneurship for Africa, does not only support only money, but the first thing they make sure that you understand how to use the money. This is another thing that most of us, we are looking for money, but we don't know how to use it. We don't have the roadmap, how you're going to spend the money, the expenses. So it's like you are looking for how much, for 100K, how are you going to use? I'm going to buy land, I want to buy this, so you don't know how the things are working where you're asking for that money. So they make sure that you are investor ready before getting that money. So this is the great thing that even if I couldn't get into the next phase, I've managed to get FRA. Currently, we are in a due diligence raising about 500K euro. It's like we are in the last phases. It's because of the training we got in the past. So we prepared ourselves, we are not going to fail again. So this is the lesson learned, like apart from getting the money, what have we learned? How are these programs impacted our business? We got trainings, we got to be coached up, we got mentorships, we got connected in a different exhibitions because the program was more, a lot of activities, including traveling in different countries like Nairobi, Uganda, going for exhibition, your products into a certain thing. So I could say like, let me sum up, like the Global Gateway has impacted our business in terms of growth, but also the sustainability.
Okay, thank you very much, Liberata. Thank you very much. So, guys, in the world, let's go for it, right? There's opportunity for us from the high policy people to the social entrepreneurship. There's opportunity. They explain what is in the Global Gateway strategy, and we see that there always fruit of it in several countries. So there's opportunity. We need to go to the information, and we need to go and take it, right? So now that we talk about the Global Gateway and an opportunity for young people, let's talk about some challenges, right? For sure. So we talk about now how and why young people are not really involved in, and what can we do to make people more involved, play the role as key actor of it, right? So we'll come back to you, Marietta. And yeah, you shared this clear vision of what it is and what the opportunity are. But honestly, we see all these evolving challenges in the world, and we want you to tell us how you feel like young people can go in and adapt your Global Gateway strategy to these challenges that we are facing as young people.
Thank you for a challenging question. Oh God, I don't envy you growing up in this world. I mean, it was much easier when I was 20 or 25, without all this social media, without, the peer pressure, without many other things. But also, what we are living in is a very challenging world in terms of security, in terms of climate change, in terms of your future. But there is only one answer. You are the agent of change. I mean, this is going to be, your future. So please don't just look at the TikTok as my son, but, really be active and be politically active. You need really to influence the decision in climate-related issues, in how, we are going to shape the future. I mean, this is the co-decision. This is the co-creation. So basically, what we are giving you, and I couldn't have explained it better than the previous speaker. I'm traveling a lot around the world, and I have thousands of stories like that of, ladies that we invest in their, farm business or nutrition or water or whatever, energy, solar panels, digital. And it's really, really empowering to see that we do the change. Because, when we are talking big words, a global gateway, strategy, you don't see the concrete results, as just mentioned now, in front of you. And that's why, we do go to work every morning in order, to see the results on the ground. So what I want to say is basically we want to equip you with the skills, for the future. Maybe you know better than us, what you need. So that's why, we are counting on your ideas and support the creation really of the infrastructure that it's needed for your employment opportunities. But also basically to promote your young businesses. And here, again, it's not only the call for tender, I would just use my last 6 seconds to explain to you the Global Gateway goes also in innovative funding. It's blending is the guarantee. So we are putting really around 45 billion into the guarantees. So our European Investment Bank and other development banks can lend to your banks in very, very favored, I would say, conditions. And they have discount, listen to that, we are doing the price discount, if they lend this money to you. So whatever the startup and whatever kind of opportunities you have, you should go also to the delegations. I'm not going to share with you now the whole list of these guarantee agreements and all our partnering countries and all our financial institutions. But clearly, we can share that with you as well. So once you get organized and you know how to access to all these opportunities, you will really be able to co-create in digital, green and smart and hopefully fair future for yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for you. Guys, I told you there's opportunity over there for us, so keep listening. I think that you write down all this opportunity and all this aspect on each business. So now let's come to Jasper. As I said, we really need you to talk a bit about specifically the energy and climate transition, specifically of the work you are doing with the Business Advisory Group, right?
So purely on climate change and
energy transition.
Yes, energy transition. It's my business, so. So that is one of the main pillars of the Global Gateway strategy. There are others as well. But like she mentioned, one of the main parts which was challenging for us as well was access to funding. Specifically to build the infrastructure projects to electrify rural villages so that then the people there locally can start up businesses. And we see mostly that it is the young generation that uses or adopts the new technology to create themselves the fastest. So one of the main parts there in the toolkit, there is a lot like contacts, sort of programs from the EU that give support to your local government to start working with local people to generate ideas and programs themselves. And indeed, one is the new mechanisms for financing, because when, for instance, a village in Cameroon came to us and they said, we want to electrify the whole village. The second question was, how are we going to fund it? And we as a company, we say, guys, we just sell you the stuff. But now there is, well, a better solution indeed, that they can go to their local policy person, minister or something, can go to the bank, inform them, and as it turns out, there are, I think by the end of this year, there will be 40 guarantee projects or programs from the Global Gateway, all specified on different, let's say, more underserved groups of people, to really drive the change there as the first. And as we have seen, the young people, when they are being made aware of these opportunities, they most of the time jump the first to try it out.
Yeah, Thank you very much. I know that there's a lot of people here advocating for climate and energy, so they take note. So let's go back to Gilles. In challenges, we talk about challenges, but in each challenge we have lessons, right? We have learnings. So with your experience with Colombia, you have a lot of learning and lesson here. So we really want you to share with this lesson with over your European young delegation that are here and how they can really use the best of what you have learned for their own delegation.
I think that in one word, it's all about scaling up what we've been doing already in quite a few delegations. If I look at our youth sounding board, they started as a group actually before we decided that we would have youth sounding boards.
Yeah.
We took that initiative with the previous government. That group called Juventudes Diversas por la Vida, Diverse Youth for Life, would actually be a group of environmental activists, young and from everywhere in the country. And this in a diverse country like Colombia was absolutely fundamental. So we have a mix of people from all ways of life, ethnicities, regions, but the thing they had in common is that they had worked a lot on environmental activism and in particular on environmental education. But then what we did with them, and this was of course a dialogue on what they needed, was to scale up the knowledge. We asked them what they needed to know, what they wanted to know, and we started basically working on themes that were outside their core interests. They told us they wanted to speak more with the business sector because they hadn't had many opportunities to do that, so we did that. They told us that they were keen to talk with science and university. We organized sessions on the Global Gateway. Actually, there was a relatively strange discussion with my head of cooperation who was like, so we really go through everything, like the green bonds and the biodiversity bonds and everything, and you're sure that they won't be bored? And we said, no, we don't think they will be bored. And then he had the meeting and he came back and he told Luisa and I, well, I actually learned a lot about green bonds. Because there were two of them who were starting a master's on green finance and who actually had even more to share than they had to learn from the conversation. And then they also told us we want to work with youth sounding boards from other areas. And there we decided that we would make that experiment we made in August to have a joint meeting, a bi-national meeting between the youth sounding board of Ecuador and the youth sounding board of Colombia. And that was also a great opportunity because we realized that there was a lot of synergies to explore there. So when I say scaling up, what do I mean? I think it's worth associating the youth sounding boards and in particular their members who are most interested in certain topics, in what the delegation is doing, in missions in the country, in high-level visits. I mean, they met with the High Representative when he was there. They met with Vice President Vestager. They met with a number of other visitors we had last year in particular. I think it would be worth thinking about a window within our EUVP, our European Union Visitors Program, especially for young people, because we've been using the EUVP for youth. But as a result, we've kind of excluded, because we're down to just one person per year, we've excluded people that could be interesting, but that are not, well, or not anymore part of the youth group. We believe really in those binational or multinational meetings of youth sounding boards. One of the proposals that we are making at the moment with the colleagues with the perspective of the EU CELAC Summit is precisely that we would have a meeting of all the youth sounding boards of South America and the Caribbean, or Latin America and the Caribbean. Why not in Bogota prior to the summit? And we also believe that in a way we may have to think about, and this event is very inspiring in this way, youth summits that will not be just youth summits the day before the presidents and the heads of state and government are gathering, but potentially youth summits that would be self-standing and that would actually come with a very clear and distinct message for the leaders. Meeting the key actors as well. I mean, we would like And every time we've done that with our youth sounding board, it's been great. That they meet the CEOs, that they meet the people who take the decisions. And every time pretty much we've done that, they clicked. So we actually believe that this is something that can be looked at and that can be generalized across the work we do everywhere in the world. And then as we've done that with far less than 2 million euros, Mariela, in terms of scaling up, there's no problem. We can use 2 million euros for Colombia, and we can do even better.
Thank you very much. And that was the call for action, right? Okay, guys, I promise you that we'll have the floor. So it's time now for you guys to, okay. So we'll take just 2 questions quickly. Could you help me? Okay, here and then here. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your inspiring stories. I heard a lot of entrepreneurs in the floor.
Sorry, could you please present yourself?
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Theodore, and I work for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands. But I have been active in Africa for the last 15 years on entrepreneurship. So I'm very interested to hear more about what can we say to global gateways when it comes to the interest rates. You all spoke about finance. But the biggest problem is not getting another grant, but getting access to your bank that currently asks you 15, 30%. And if you go to Sheikh Diba in Senegal, what can he, as a Minister of Finance and Budget, do to change that narrative and really make sure that global gateway is the first stepping stone to your next? If you go to the President, Madam President of Tanzania, how can we convince them that funding is one of the biggest challenges of those entrepreneurs out of necessity, not out of opportunity? So I'm asking you, how do you give back your feedback to the EU and to us as foreign governments so that we can have the discussion going to lower down those interest rates, not only on microfinance, venture capitals, but also on the grants and the government loan schemes that exist? So I'm very interested to hear from your perspective as well on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe Liberata or Sobel, who want to take the question? Liberata, you are doing some business, guy. You want to take it? Let's go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. Speaking to my country, first of all, I'm not going to enter into politics or to the government because I'm not going to speak on their behalf, but I'm going to speak on the private sector side. On the private sector side, we have an umbrella for the private sector, so our voices can be heard to the government. That is, we have the Tanzania Private Sectors Foundation, where every company or organization in private sector that is doing a certain activity regarding to the certain sector is obligated to register so that they can also be known that they have a certain activity. So if you get a grant, for example, from the EU, so they will know like that you have this money, so you're implementing this activity, because there is no way there is someone on the panel like we have to get the clean money. So that means you are clean. So that's what the BOT is going to verify everything to make sure that that money is clean and it's going to be used to the certain activity. And of course, you have the contract, all the papers like this money is going to be used for labor green innovation to implement or to create jobs, because the EU is going to give the money for to scale your project, also to reduce the plastic pollution in Tanzania, also to add more jobs for women and youth in Tanzania. That this is their goal. Their goal. So to the Tanzania side, they have to make sure that you use the money responsibly. There is no like running out with the money and doing any illegal things. So this is what I know about the connection between the private sector and the government. So we are reporting, but also for the startups, we have the Tanzania Startup Association where you register everything so they know exactly what you are doing and at what time and at what range. And if it's a growth, they know exactly at what stage where you are. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. Good model. So after that, you can just talk to her to have more detail about it. take another question here. Here. Okay, go ahead there.
Do I go ahead or someone else?
First there, and then we come back to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Noemi, and I'm here representing the Union for the New Generation of European and African Youth. And I'm also taking climate change to the International Court of Justice as part of the World Youth for Climate Justice. My question is about the elephant which is outside of the room, young people that aren't involved in politics at all. I think in recent elections in Germany, where I'm from, I'm also from Ghana, we have seen that the youth, first-time voters, over 30%, have voted for right-wing and fascist parties. These parties don't represent democratic values and they don't represent human rights in any way. And with their vote, these young people have expressed that they don't think the same either. My question is, how can we, as a youth platform, as people who are engaged in politics and policies in many ways, how can we reach these people? How can we make sure that we don't lose these people? Because if 30% of young people in Germany and in Europe as well vote for parties that are anti-democracy, anti-human rights, don't believe in climate change, don't think that many of the people that are in the room belong in this room, how do we make sure that we still reach these people? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
I think we're going to go do a co-ed, and I'll do the youth's perspective on this. And it's very simple. Why do these people end up voting for these parties? Because somewhat, they were able to communicate with the youth. They spoke their language, and they felt somewhat identified with what they were saying. Why people vote this extreme right, extreme left, or whatever, very populist, right wing, left wing, it's because of the communication style. It's very straightforward. If you are on the social media where youth are, if you are on the streets interacting with them, at the end of the day, you feel represented, you feel heard. Simple as that.
Okay. Go, Maria.
Yeah, I don't think it's so easy. It's much more complicated because, you know, we have so many ways to communicate. So my answer would be that we are really counting on you because you know what is right and what is, you know, based on values. And you know what is gender equality, and you are well organized. So not only to spread the knowledge about the global gateway and the business opportunities, but we count on you also that you are going to spread the values that we all stand for. I mean, again, when I was young, no one was questioning the gender equality. And I would say that education was at least 50-50 in terms of, let's say, boys and girls. But now we see, you know, less and less, I would say, boys being educated. And because, you know, the traditional norms and some other issues prevent them of being, let's say, in the position of power, they go for the right parties because that brings them, you know, the power they would like to have. So all this we need to fight jointly. But as our commissioner started, you know, this very great initiative about the Youth Action Plan, and you heard my president of the commission today basically committing to you that we will have in the future as well the Youth Advisory Board and that we will continue with this initiative. I think that it's our responsibility that we scale up, really at scale, not only a knowledge about the vocal training programs and what we do for green and digital, but also what you just raised as an elephant in the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Gilles, just 20 seconds about it.
No, just to mention, I think this is a very, very valid question, and this is the only thing on which, with our youth sounding board, we influenced things, and we said there's one thing to which you have to pay attention. On the rest, they were very organic in the way they operated. And it should not only be university level people in the group, it should not only be people from the main cities, it should not be kids from the elite, and kids from the elite in our countries is a major issue because they don't have the contacts that maybe others would have with the rest of their countries. And this is really one thing to which we've paid attention, with the caveat that, of course, everybody who is part of the group, because they are brilliant people, will end up being in university, will end up living in large cities, etc. And that actually means that we want the group to renew itself and to keep integrating people who are not from that background, because, of course, people may aspirate to get to those positions, but it's very important that the group remains that sort of balanced body where not everybody has got the opportunities or has seized them or whatever, and understands what most of the Colombian youth is actually living as a reality.
Thank you. So we take the last question really quick. Last question, sorry, really quick one.
Oh, yeah, okay. So very quickly, my name is Nada Mohammed. I'm from Egypt, representing the youth in Mediterranean Action. So my question is for the Deputy Director General. I was wondering about the justice aspect of the infrastructural projects that you are working on, because in general, they have very good intentions, let's say, like we're trying to promote renewable energy and connectivity. However, reflecting on my country, Egypt, there has been a lot of evacuations and displacement of people, and there has not been proper safeguards to these people to be properly remunerated. And because they don't only lose a housing, they lose part of their identity. So I was wondering how this is being accounted for when developing the Global Gateway and its implementation. Thank you.
As I said before, we have a 360-degree approach, so meaning that we will build the bridges and roads and rails does not mean that we are going to forget about governance and reform. I mean, especially the justice and other reforms, also the microfinancial reforms and the banking reforms that they mentioned there. This is part of the package. This is part of the approach. But clearly, as it was said before, I mean, here in the Global Gateway, we are looking really for the way to close the investment gap in education, in research, in health. We have 37 flagships on the human development. So all that contributes, you know, also to the social justice and fighting inequalities. You know that we put together the inequality marker. I mean, Egypt does not belong to the, let's say, geographical scope that we are covering in DG IMPA. It's with our colleagues in DG NIR. But clearly, you know, we are on the same page when it comes to the reform needed for, you know, the sustainable and fair development future for you, and not only just for you as a beneficiary, because you are privileged to be here today, but, you know, to scale it up also with your peers. But also, we will never be able to do all that alone. We will need the crowd in the private sector, civil societies, and of course, local authorities. Without that, we will not manage to get there. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much to our panelists. I told you they were really impressive, and I feel like this session were really insightful. So now we go to the end of this session. Sorry, Sobel, but now we give 2 words each. So that people will go home with that, right? Start with Sobel.
Yes. 2 words might be very difficult. OK. Bon, je voulais vous montrer un schéma sur l'inclusion systémique des jeunes. Je vais essayer de le résumer en 2 mots. Ça va être vraiment difficile. Comment on inclut de façon systématique les jeunes dans le Global Gateway ? On a piloté un modèle au Sénégal avec 4 agences européennes qui ont mis en place ensemble un programme de 56 millions d'euros dans le cadre de la formation technique et professionnelle. Ce programme cible exclusivement les jeunes et ce programme se met en place dans le contexte de l'organisation des Jeux olympiques de la jeunesse. Donc jeunes. On a audité ce programme avec des Youth Standards sur la gouvernance, sur les ressources humaines, sur les partenariats, sur l'engagement des jeunes, etc. Il en revient à dire que ce programme a eu la moyenne sur pratiquement aucun des standards. Donc un programme qui est financé exclusivement pour les jeunes, dans un contexte de jeunes, n'a pratiquement pas recruté de jeunes, n'a pratiquement pas de business avec les jeunes, n'a pratiquement pas de partenariat avec des organisations de jeunes. Et l'idée, justement, c'est ce que vous voyez ici. Donc, vous voyez, on parle de quand même 4 des grosses agences européennes, avec une moyenne. Sur la gouvernance, il y a la moyenne. La moyenne, c'est 2,5. Et puis, sur la mise en œuvre, on est presque à la moyenne 2,4. Sur les ressources humaines, on est à 1,7 sur 5. Sur les relations d'affaires, 1,7, et sur les partenariats, 2. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Ça veut dire que malgré la bonne intention de faire mieux avec les jeunes, beaucoup d'institutions ne savent pas comment il faut faire pour pouvoir y arriver. Et donc, le schéma, c'est quoi? C'est de se dire, il faut davantage adopter des principes et des pratiques qui facilitent l'inclusion et la valorisation des jeunes. Et donc, je vais terminer sur ça en disant que c'est possible. Ces 4 agences, après avoir reçu leurs résultats, se sont tout de suite engagées dans un processus de transformation qui leur a donné des recommandations pour faire remonter leur niveau de performance sur tous les piliers sur lesquels ils n'ont pas eu la moyenne, afin que le programme profite pleinement aux jeunes. On parle de 56 millions d'euros, c'est pas petit, et si ces 56 millions d'euros peuvent davantage bénéficier aux jeunes, ça veut dire qu'il y a plus d'impact pour les jeunes pour 0 € en plus. Et je pense que c'est vers ça qu'il faut qu'on amène notre démarche programmatique sur les grands programmes du Global Gateway, qui se font dans des pays où 1 personne sur 10 a plus de 50 ans. Ça veut dire que 9 personnes sur 10 ont moins de 50 ans. Ça veut dire qu'il faut absolument que toutes ces personnes-là puissent se retrouver et être incluses là où, naturellement, elles ne le sont pas. Voilà, merci.
Merci beaucoup pour tes 2 mots. This was just 2 words, right? Okay, Liberata.
Thank you. 2 words.
Yeah.
So on my side, I would like to say sustainability is a key. So let us keep working hard because we want the youth sounding board to be more sustainable. So let us come up with different initiatives so that we can make it more work in different countries and with different activities on the ground. Thank you.
Gilles?
I think, in short, it would just be jolt the system. I mean, there's something that the previous generation has done wrong. Even despite the goodwill, despite everything you want, many of us wanted to do better. But basically, particularly on climate change, there is something that has to be fixed, and where your voice is more important in a way than ours, because you will be the ones living with the consequences of the decisions that are or are not taken today. So I really believe that, in a way, what we have in climate change and with climate change and youth today is almost similar to what happened with women after World War II in Europe, when women had taken so much autonomy because of a number of reasons that there was absolutely no way society could send them back to the home and the kitchen and whatever. And I think that what is happening now with the youth is exactly the same, and this is equally good notice or good news than it was for women at the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, let's come to Mariette.
I think you should take Global Gateway as an opportunity. You should not be only beneficiaries, but you should be, as I said before, co-designers, leaders, and to really give us your innovative ideas how to do it better, how to really create this green and digital world the way that you would love to live in. And also you should be really involved in all stages of the process, meaning from the beginning, from the design to the decision-making, to the final implementation. And I think we are in your hands. We are giving you the offer, and I hope you are going to take it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marietta. Andrea?
Final words would be move away from tokenism, focus on building public-private youth partnerships. In the end, dream work is through teamwork. And let's just make sure that we focus on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrea. Jasper?
All right, well, final words from me. A little bit from my experience, I think passion gets you through the doors because you're young, and that's what I've always seen. And with the tools of the Global Gateway, you can actually reach the finish line.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jasper. Thank you very much to our impressive panelists. now we are wrapping up the panel. It will be really insightful for me. I learned a lot from the opportunity exciting, and also from how you guys and me also, as young people, can really take this opportunity and really work with it. So let's build together a future where the voice of young people lead the way. So over to you, Sirata.
That's it.
Ouais. C'est parti. On l'a fini. Ouais.